season. She was ACC Freshman of the Year, but she followed that up with a great sophomore season, averaging 5.16 kills per set. That was good for 6th in all of NCAA, so looked to have 2 great outsides in this match.
She is the top player for Syracuse, first team All-ACC the last 2 years. Dan Fisher, 2-time Coach of the Year in the ACC. His team went undefeated in conference play a year ago at 18-0, back-to-back 30-win seasons overall for Fisher. And Leonard Yellen, who picked up career victory number 600, he's been at Syracuse now for this going on to his 9th season, 115 wins at Syracuse. So we are ready. Jenny, are you ready? I mean, we didn't think this was going to happen, did we? There is conference volleyball, and we're set to go. Pittsburgh, the defending champs, will receive the serve from Syracuse. Elena Karakazi gets things started here in Syracuse. And an early point for the defending champions.
And right away, you see Kayla Lund getting the ball set to her on the right pin in that serve-receive rotation, and she comes away with the kill.
So here is Lund. Dug out nicely, kept alive by Pittsburgh. Blocked back and another point. That's Sabrina Starks in the middle. You can't miss her. The 6'2" junior out of Nebraska coming off a very strong season. And Dan Fisher told us she had an outstanding preseason for the Panthers.
And you saw her blocking right there. She led the team in blocks in 2019 with 1.44 per set. She's an outstanding blocker.
Pittsburgh out to an early lead, playing on the road in their season opener. Ende winds and fires, dug out by Syracuse. And the Orange with their first point.
And that was Ella Sade swinging on the right pin for Syracuse. Just finds some space between that outside blocker and the antenna, finds the court.
Quick set and the kill from Starks.
A great pass by Pitt. It's very important in the game of volleyball to get a pass up at the net where the middle is an option. And Sabrina Starks, when she can put balls away like that, it'll really open it up for the pins.
A point for the Orange to make it 3-2 here in the first.
And that was by our other outside featured in the Open, Chimanova for Syracuse. Again, we mentioned she was the freshman of the year, her freshman year. She was also the East All-Region in 2018 and 19.
That's a point for the Panthers. Well, Lund, you talked about it, Jenny, senior from Pasadena, captain for this team, the ACC Player of the Year last year, but so much returning experience for this Pittsburgh team, and now a little bit of a blend of new faces as well. You see the libero in Popovich, transfer from ETSU. Kat Flood is the only freshman, true freshman on this team, and Jordan Lockwood, a junior college transfer, playing for Pittsburgh for the first time here today as well. And the return of Kylie Levers, who tore her ACL on the 3rd day of practice last year, who missed all of last season. So Levers returns for this Pittsburgh team. So the short story is this was already a very good team that has some pretty good pieces added to it as they get set to defend their title. And it will be a different title defense this year. We'll talk about that as we go along with this 8-game schedule and the hopes to play a spring schedule, but nothing has been decided upon yet for these teams. Let's get through the fall first, I think, is the mindset. That one is off the mark, and it's a point for Pittsburgh, and they're on top by 2.
Head coach Dan Fisher wasn't sure exactly what they would do. They have so many options. You mentioned so many returning players, some key new players, and they are running a 6-2 to start the season. So because, you know, when Levers went out, Lexis Akeo was fantastic, so they were just trying to figure out what would work best for their team.
Zoe Faki puts it into play for the Panthers. Blocked back, and a point for Pittsburgh. I think both coaches were very concerned as to what their teams would look like in this unique start to the season, but when you've got Kayla Lund coming back and Ende coming back and Lexis Akeo, who ended up setting for Pittsburgh last year, those are all proven players at the Division I level, Jenny, and in the ACC that led them to a 30-win season last year. So I think he had an idea what they would do starting this 2020 fall season. That one will fall into play. It's a point for Syracuse.
And a nice off-speed shot that time by Shimanova, just electing for the tip. And earlier in the previous serve receive, we saw Markova, who played on the opposite last year for Syracuse. She's playing in the middle. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on as she's moved into a different position this season.
Shimanova, who just has a big serve. She's not afraid to take some chances, maybe a little aggressive at times, but when you're Leonard Yellen, you have to have some patience because when she connects on that serve, it's pretty tough to handle.
And he's okay with the high risk, high reward serve as long as she isn't too inconsistent and missing a whole lot.
Piccolo played in 32 sets as a freshman. That one's going to go long, and Pittsburgh is up by 4 here in the first.
Syracuse looking for a touch call on that, but no touch, and Pitt gets the serve back.
Okolo back into play. Big hit from the outside. That's Markova. 6'5". She was third on the team in kills per set last year as a freshman. But she's a player, according to Leonard Yellen, that he can move her all across the floor. And she just wants to be on the floor. That's all that she wants. It doesn't matter what position she plays.
And I love hearing him talk about she was an outside in high school. She had to play in the opposite last year, and this year they need her in the middle. And she says, Coach, I'll play wherever you need me to play. We saw that big swing. Of course, then she follows up a great swing with a missed serve. But you know, he said that she is just a true team player and really has a good arm no matter where she's hitting.
Lexis Akeo, the sophomore from Hawaii, set to serve. With Pittsburgh on top here in the opening set. Dug out by Popovich. And that one too hot to handle, out of play, and it's a point for Syracuse.
I really like that jump set by Carcassi because she kind of looked like she was maybe going to attack it and held the middle for Pitt just long enough to give Sada a split in the block for that kill.
Sada was second on the team in kills per set a year ago, better than 3 a set. Quick set there for Starks. Dug out nicely by Syracuse. But in the end, it's a point for Pittsburgh. Well, it's a good start so far for junior Sabrina Starks.
And the passing for Pitt has been pretty on point, and that allows them to run their offense through the middle more, and that makes it really tough to defend.
Challenged at the net. It looked like it was Faki who was there for Pittsburgh. It's a point for the Panthers.
It looked like the ball was tipped into the antenna. The set was a little tight, so she had tried to go through Faki. She probably would have been blocked, so she tried to go around but hit the antenna instead.
Lund with the serve. Good quick play by Syracuse, and Leonard Yellen liked his chances for this team being a little bit quicker, being better. You really don't know until he thought maybe playing a a match or two, Jenny, but the signs were there that they were going to be a little bit of a faster team. This is already a team that played pretty quickly and played at a high rate offensively.
Yeah, he really likes the faster offense that they've been able to put in place. And so far, when their passes are good, they've been able to terminate.
There'll be a point for Pittsburgh on the violation. There you see the head coach for Syracuse now in his 9th season. You know, we asked him, well, was he anxious, excited, curious, all of the above? And he said he just loves this team. And when coaches that we've talked to so far, Jenny, talk about their love for their team, it's not just what they've been able to do in volleyball terms, but also adhering to all the protocols, the COVID-19 regulations and the testing and masking up and everything that needs to happen in order to have a season here in the fall. And both coaches made it very clear that that was something that they were really proud of their teams for, just rolling with it, being adaptable to things on the court and off the court.
Absolutely. And I don't think until coaches started talking about it that I fully realized how much the players have to isolate themselves, because if they get exposed and then have to quarantine other members of the team, I mean, it costs them matches. And so it's a huge sacrifice to really just stay within your small volleyball family all the time. And both coaches expressed their team's complete willingness to do everything required because they just want to play volleyball.
You can see when they're on the sidelines, they're masked up. The head coaches with face coverings. The balls are being disinfected when they're taken out of play and then put onto a rack. I mean, there's so much for college kids to adjust to, not just volleyball practice, but just the learning environments, hybrid, learning in your classroom, learning off a laptop, and living in your dorm. So it's different in all parts of the country. And I think we've learned since March that kids are pretty flexible when it comes to rolling with all these punches that have been thrown our way over these last 6-7 months.
Absolutely, very resilient, and just the little bit of volleyball I've seen so far this season on TV, they seem very excited to play.
Yastrub with the serve for Syracuse. Orange trying to hang tough here against mighty Pittsburgh. Placed in nicely, and a point for the Orange. Just when it looked like Pittsburgh was going to go on a run or two, Syracuse come back and counterpunch nicely, Jenny.
Shimanova just going off speed. That's the second time that Syracuse has been able to catch Pitt on the off-speed shot. And, you know, that's just something that if they can continue to keep them guessing and not always swinging away or always tipping, that makes them tougher to defend.
So put in play. Faki winds in, connects, a point for Pittsburgh. Correction, Jordan Lockwood. So Lockwood out there, junior from Friendswood, Texas, who played for Navarro College last year, won a national title at the JUCO level. There's Faki to serve. Challenge at the net, won by the Panthers. So Pittsburgh's on top by 5 here in the first set. That'll get us to a timeout with the team picked to win it all in the ACC. Pittsburgh off to a good start on the road at Syracuse.
We at the ACC know that change needs to occur.
Despite our rivalries,
this is the time to unite.
We need to come together to conquer biases.
as well as oppression.
485 total. She was 4th in the country in kills per set at better than 5. Touch back over, opportunity here from Syracuse to double it up, and that's going to go out of play, and they say no, it was deflected, so it's a point for Syracuse. You can see even on the looks on their faces, there was a little delay for everybody to celebrate at the same time.
Yeah, it did look like the high hands of the block were touched and was called immediately by the officials.
So the Orange now within 3. Terakazi's serve goes long, and it's a point for Pittsburgh. One thing you can't do, Jenny, against a Pittsburgh team that was ranked as high as second in the country a year ago is hurt yourself. And the service errors is something that's got to be cleaned up for Syracuse. That's 3 so far.
Yeah, not wanting to give them too many easy points, making Pitt earn their points.
Only 1 service error so far for Pittsburgh. Good little change up there, finding the empty space, and it's a point for Syracuse.
Well, Pitt is triple blocking on any out-of-system set to the outside. So there's not an off blocker there to pick that ball up. And when the 3 defenders around the block are a little bit deeper, that's what's going to be open more.
Sada serve. Another one dropped in a similar place, and another point for Syracuse, now within 2.
And Syracuse is finding what is working for their offense, and that's the off-speed shot, tip shots, roll shots. They've been doing a fantastic job of finding open space.
Cassiano found the spot, and a timeout is called by Pittsburgh. You can see Dan Fisher, he goes with the face shield, Jenny. A lot of coaches that we've seen in the early going these last week and a half, they've got the covering, but when you have the shield like that, you can really get a sense of the displeasure a coach would have for you when, when he's not too happy. So that's an idea of the protocols here as Fisher goes with the face shield. Fans are not permitted in the arena in the Syracuse women's building. The rules will be different for teams around the ACC depending on what the local and the state regulations are. In New York, very stringent, fans not in the arena. Teams, and this is similar through all the ACC, teams will stay on one side of the net and on one bench throughout the match. Usually after each set they would change sides. Not in 2020 in the fall season. And you saw the other guidelines, and of course there's hand sanitizer everywhere, wherever you look in the world and on a volleyball court as well.
When players have their face masks up, it can make it a little difficult to identify them as we're getting to know some of the new faces this season.
Unless you go with the bold hair color choice of Markova.
Yes.
And you can tell that one from a mile away.
We appreciate that.
So the timeout called by Pittsburgh. Remember, they were up 15-10 at the first set timeout. And Syracuse trying to crawl back into this first set, try to even things up here if they can go on a service run, as Sada, the senior from Israel, is ready to go again. And out of the timeout, Syracuse gets another point.
And Syracuse is on a 4-point run now. The hands of the serve from Sada getting Syracuse right back in this first set.
Sada with 3 kills. Shimanova with 4 for Syracuse. When Pittsburgh needs a point, usually if they find the senior from Houston, it's going to end pretty well. Ende with the kill.
Ende, another first-team All-ACC selection last season, and she's been someone that has stepped up in the role of captain for Pitt this season as well. Of course, Kayla Lund, one of the captains, but Ende had a huge improvement in her offense and just really overall leadership.
And she was already pretty good last year, first team all-conference. Good block by Syracuse of Ende. Another one just placed perfectly, but Pittsburgh scrambles to keep it in play. And now the big hammer delivered by the Orange. Shimanova with the kill.
And no surprise, as this set is nearing the end, you're going to go to your go-to attackers. Shimanova barely had a little bit of space, just the outside block of Ende, and she finds it.
5 kills now for Shimanova. And another one from Ende for Pittsburgh.
Ende taking a really nice swing, finding the seam of the block. Syracuse is playing a man-up defense whenever Kayla Lund is in the back row. So Pitt being aware of just where the defenders are is going to be very important because they're doing different things at different times.
Kylie Levers with the serve for Pittsburgh. Set right back by the Orange. Faki, that goes long. Faki's calling for a challenge here, I think, thinking that it was deflected. Did the officials change the call?
It looks like they're pointing at the one line judge that seemed to be indicating a touch.
And I think Yellen's going to go to the challenge, and he will go to the card, and he'll call for a video replay here. Again, on the challenge system, 3 per match for each team, and one of the areas that can be covered is if a ball is in or out, or was there player contact.
And he doesn't have to say, if he challenges a touch and say that it looks like it actually hit the line, that is all combined. It's all together. Originally, when the challenge system was put in place, those were 2 separate things, and coaches had to challenge what they thought it was. But then they combined that, and now either one, if there's a touch or if it's in or out, it's all looped in together of what he's challenging.
Debbie LaValle will put on the headset and take a look at the replay, and while she does that, we'll show you what we can find rolling back the replays.
And so the line judge did rule a touch initially, so that was the ruling there. And there has to be conclusive evidence to overturn the original call. So Pitt getting that line judge call of a touch was key, because I'm not sure that you can really see that clearly whether or not, at least from what we're seeing here on the monitors, to change that call.
All right, so now we're going to magnify the image a little bit. It looks like it goes through the hands, but again, to your point, Jenny, it looks like. Can you say without any question that it does? That's up for debate right here.
And I like to watch the players' faces after the official comes and, makes their decision, because it very well could have barely touched the left.
The 3 challenges, and as Jenny pointed out, you don't have to say, well, I am looking exactly for this. They just want you to go back and just say, okay, well, should it be our point? Was something, was there a touch? Did it go long? Some of the other areas, service foot fault and tack line foot fault. This is a very long review that continues, so we'll take one more look. The swing.
I just don't know that they're going to be able to overturn the initial call based on that.
I agree, Jenny. So looking for the call in there. We were screened, but the point to the Pittsburgh bench, and that was the Pittsburgh bench screaming in approval, and the challenge is unsuccessful for Yellen. Pittsburgh by 3 and serving here in the first. And a whistle.
Net violation by Syracuse. That pass was a little bit tight, so it was tough for Arcasi to stay out of the net on that play.
So Pittsburgh 3 points away from taking set number 1, and a timeout called here by Syracuse. Syracuse has had an answer for any Pittsburgh run, but they are running out of time here in the first set of the first full week of play in the ACC. Last week, Virginia Tech got things going with a non-conference game against the Citadel, but for the most part, it's 8 fall games for the teams in the ACC, and here's what's happening this week. It was a victory for Notre Dame at Louisville today. They get a sweep in set 1. They were down 7 in the first set, but Notre Dame came back and won the first set 27-25. ended up sweeping the Cardinals on the road. Charlie Nigo had 11 kills to pace Notre Dame, knocking off a team that went to the Elite Eight last year in Louisville with a lot of firepower returning. And also North Carolina, Virginia Tech today, Georgia Tech, Miami today. You see what's happening on Saturday. How about that early statement for Miami, knocking off Georgia Tech? Tech was the hottest team in the country at the close of last year. They won 18 of the last 19.
Syracuse, though, follows that up with a great side out.
Deflected by Pittsburgh out of play, so a point for Syracuse, much needed. Back to being down by 4.
We're seeing a double sub here for Syracuse, and Coach Yellen said that this was something they would use situationally. A new setter in the back row, Lauren Woodford, and a new opposite coming in, Naomi Franco, to play in the opposite, hopefully get a bit of a block up.
Lauren Woodford with the serve. Naomi Franco making her Syracuse debut here in this first set. Touched in to a little dead space there, and a point for Pittsburgh, and it is set point for the Panthers.
Nice off speed by Jordan Lockwood. She'd had some struggles at some points earlier in this match, but really smart decision there.
I think you're going to have some nerves when you're trying to step into the lineup of this Pittsburgh team that's won 3 straight ACC championships, and it takes a little time to settle down. And of course, without a full preseason and just the normal preseason, it's going to take a little while for some players to settle in. Pittsburgh, though, with a set point up by 5. And a service error keeps Syracuse alive.
And Syracuse has put their original starting setter back in and opposite, so Karkoski still setting. So that's why they will call it a double sub instead of a 6-2, because it's situational and they switch it right back afterwards.
Shimanova. Point for Syracuse, and the Orange hanging in there here in the first set. And Pittsburgh will call a timeout here at set point. So while Dan Fisher talks it over with his Pittsburgh team, we can remind you that tonight, an elimination game in the NBA playoffs, the Boston Celtics trying to stay alive. The Miami Heat have a chance to put the Celtics away. Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and the Heat 1 game away from the finals. It starts 8:30 Eastern time tonight.
In the first set in the net, because of a tight pass, that time the double contact called on the setter.
Akeo had 5 assists in the first set, ready to serve here in set number 2, and it's a service error for Akeo and a point for Syracuse. Lauren Hogan will go back and get ready to serve. Freshman from Loveland, Ohio, making her Syracuse debut. Set back for Ende. Hogan with the set. And blocked out of play, and a point for Syracuse, and the Orange have a lead.
Great high hand swing by Shimanova there. Pitt still in the out of system situations, not triple blocking so that they have that off blocker. But Shimanova still takes a really good, smart swing off the outside hand of the blocker in front of her.
Hogan goes with a short serve. Shimanova has a block back, and this block heads out of play, and Syracuse up by 2.
Nice job, again, using the hands of the blockers by Shimanova. And that is a skill. It's not something that players just naturally know how to do. They really have to work on seeing the right things and taking the right swings.
Ende has it blocked. Syracuse keeps it alive. Kale with the set, blocked back again by the Orange. Syracuse can add to their lead. Pittsburgh won't allow it. Ende one more time, dug out by Hogan. And placed perfectly by Syracuse, and the Orange off to a great start here in the second set.
And the off blocker who's pulled in to help get that play doesn't run over and get it. A nice defensive move by Lauren Hogan, keeping the ball alive. And then the tip kill down the line. So the awareness of Shimanova that the person responsible for the tip is coming from the off blocker situation, so she put it as far away from her as possible.
That service error ends the 4-0 run for Syracuse. And now Kayla Lund will head back to serve for the Panthers. One of those 5 players with at least 3 kills, and the second service error of this second set for Pittsburgh. (5-2) Syracuse. Yastrub set to serve. Quick return by Sabrina Stark for the point.
Another outstanding pass for Pitt. When they're in system and they can set the middles, you see the blockers for Syracuse were spread really wide. They weren't bunch blocked to help with the blocking of the middle. So when Pitt can pass, they can get a one-on-one swing.
4 kills and 8 swings for Stark so far as she heads to the bench. And a point for Syracuse.
And that's Markova, again, the player that has moved to the middle position this season, just playing wherever her team needs her. And she comes in and gets another good kill on the slide.
Well, you mentioned before, Jenny, it's not her natural position, but it's what the team needs for her right now. So compare the positions and how challenging it is for her to be playing in the position she is right now. What's different from what her natural position would be?
Well, the pin attackers, so whether the outside or the right side, they're going to hit a little bit of a higher tempo set, even if you run a faster offense. Middles are running a much quicker attack, and the job is just difficult. It's one of the most difficult positions to play in volleyball because you're working hard to block everything you can, then you have to transition fast and get in there. So here we see Markova transitioning as much as she can on that quick ball back up to the net, and she just can't get in good position and misses the shot. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of thinking, and it's not easy to do. And it's a lot of times, you know, there's not as much glory for the middles, even though they probably are some of the hardest working players on the court.
That will drop in, and it's a point for Syracuse, back on top by 3.
And Syracuse again had gone to the double sub. So just kind of seeing those switches continuing to be made whenever Coach Yellen thinks that it's going to be of benefit.
Markova, the sophomore, ready to serve, up 3. Point for Pittsburgh.
Nice swing by Fockey. You see Pitt setting the right side a lot, whichever attacker's over there, whether it's the outside swinging and serve receive on that pin or the opposite. They're really setting the right side a lot.
Fockey heads back to serve. That one is in for a point for Syracuse.
Another great swing by Sada for Syracuse. Good pass, so the blockers for Pitt have to worry about all attackers. So basically a one-on-one for the outside for Syracuse.
And a handful of substitutions here for Syracuse. It's Karakazi, the junior from Greece, who comes in.
Getting the original setter and opposite back in. So a really good time for Syracuse to use that double side.
Lund. Point for Syracuse.
And now it's Pitt with the unforced errors. We've had a couple of missed serves, a couple of attacking errors. So Syracuse really doing a nice job of staying steady and letting Pitt make mistakes.
Syracuse had an early 4-0 run to jump out to a 4-1 lead here in this second set. They've now pushed it back to a 4-point advantage. Down to set. Lund's not going to miss that one. Point for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you go right back to your All-American who really knows how to carry the load whenever you need it. And one-on-one, it's going to be almost impossible to stop Kayla Lund in that situation.
First team all-conference each of the last 2 seasons. Puts Pittsburgh down by 3. Mokolo serving. Syracuse claiming that it was deflected, and yes, the point will go to Syracuse. A little debate from Pittsburgh, and they may go to a review here. And Dan Fisher is reaching for the card, and we'll have a video review.
And it looks like it's the right back defender that Syracuse is saying touched it.
So Syracuse challenged in the first set. That was unsuccessful, and now Pittsburgh using their first challenge, and it comes here in the second set. Point was awarded to Syracuse. For the moment, they're up by 4. And the side benefit of asking for a replay review is you have a chance to huddle up with your team for some tough words, probably. I don't think a hand got on there, did it?
I don't know that she was able to reach that ball. On that other angle, it looked like it was just outside of her reach.
And the question is going to be whether or not there was contact made, as Jenny pointed out, by Pittsburgh. We'll rack it back here.
And the blocker's nowhere near it. So it is, you know, did the defender make the touch?
Again, that may fall into the category of the Syracuse challenge that we saw earlier. Is there enough? Can you tell that there was no contact there? And it's so tough on these replays when you're trying to determine if there was a touch, Jenny. Sometimes in the line calls, it's a little bit easier because as long as there's no obstructed view, but even that when we blow it up, we can't really tell because of can't tell if the hand bounces back or if the ball changes direction. It just happens so quickly.
And it was interesting the way the ball was spinning. You can see the panels, they were going in one direction. And I feel like if she had touched it, it would have kind of changed the direction the ball was spinning. So, you know, if they overruled that call right here, I wouldn't be surprised. But like you said, it is still hard to see. And she's
that
saying
is
who?
Kayla Levers, you know, no way. She's like, I did not touch it. I did not touch it.
And again, it did not look like the ball, as it was spinning, made
Kylie's
any
really
movement.
letting us know that's no way.
Yes.
So.
And because I'm telling you, a lot of times when the players know they touched it and the call's confirmed, they just don't argue.
Sada for Syracuse, up by 4 here in the second, down to set. And another point for Lund. Well, you can tell Lund may be getting a bit fired up. She had the service error, Jenny. She had a hitting error, but since then, she's kind of settled down. We even had that look at her. She's like, you know, I'm good. I've got this. Because when you're a senior and you've taken as many swings as she has, you're going to figure it out pretty quickly.
Absolutely, and she knows that her team ultimately, even though they have a balanced offense, she's going to be that go-to player in a clutch moment.
Akeo serves for Pittsburgh. Blocked, back by Starks.
And again, a good
Ende was there,
pass.
so yeah, it's a point for Syracuse, though.
That's right, it was another good pass, allowing Syracuse to have all of their offensive options. You see the help block trying to come from the opposite end day, but she's just a little bit too late because on a good pass, her primary responsibility is her hitter. She's just the help block on the middle.
You saw how fired up Castellano was on that point. That's part of her game that has changed a little bit from last year. Much more vocal in the preseason ramp up to this 8-game fall season. Dunked in, and for a point for Syracuse. They stretch it out to a 5-point advantage.
And Yastrub with a really smart short set over the blockers and really just out of reach of the defender. It was perfect location. Usually when an attacker puts both hands up, players know that they're setting it over and it's going to be an easy play, but she put that really short. That was a nice job.
We've seen that work for Syracuse a few times in this match so far, going with the perfectly placed soft shot. Hogan serves. Trying to keep it alive, but it's another point for the Orange.
And Syracuse's block has been really strong in this set. They've got some positive block touches, a couple of stuff blocks, doing a really nice job of keeping Pitt and their offense at bay.
Pittsburgh takes another timeout, their largest deficit of this second set. Down by 6 here in the second. Syracuse on top by 6 and hitting at a very good clip here in the second set, Jenny.
Yep, really efficient for the Syracuse offense, hitting 500. And we're going to see a lift call there on the setter for Pitt. But just, it's not really any one player that's just doing everything right for Syracuse, but it's a lot of players carrying the load. And even doing the little things like covering their hitters, so if a hitter does get blocked, they're keeping the ball in play, and that gives those attackers a little more freedom to take some big swings.
Big swing there for Pittsburgh, and that stops the Syracuse run.
And if Syracuse is going to stay in that man-up defense where the right back defender pulls in under the block, and the other two defenders are sort of deep, kind of toward the corners, sidelines, that middle attack is where they're going to score a lot. And that's where Pitt has been able to find success in this set.
Kayla Lund serves for Pittsburgh. That one's gonna be deflected out of play, and it's a point for Syracuse.
Another high hands swing by Yastrub, getting a really good high, just off the edges of the fingers of the blocker.
Yastrub to serve, senior from Ukraine, co-captain for this Syracuse team. Ende, too much to handle. That's a point for Pittsburgh.
Ende had been blocked some, and it seemed, especially when she was trying to swing a little more down the line, that time taking a really nice cross-court swing and getting a good kill.
Popovich for Pittsburgh. Quick set and hammered home by Syracuse.
And Syracuse fired up over that one. Markova taking a big swing with two blockers in front of her, still gets it around the blockers right at Popovich too, and she couldn't handle it. So you see the fired up face of the Syracuse Orange, and especially Markova.
Naomi Franco back in for Syracuse. Again, the freshman making her debut. You'll hear more about her remarkable story coming up after this second set. Her road to recovery after a cerebral hemorrhage in late December. Remarkable to see her out here playing in the season opener in late September for Syracuse. That story coming up during our intermission. Franco keeps it alive there for Syracuse. Ende dug out again by the Orange. And now a whistle. It's hard to hear the whistle. There's just so much communication on the court. Again, there's no fans here. The players are creating their energy, and I don't think anybody heard the whistle at first.
The electronic whistle, too, is not as loud. So the R2, the down official, does have a face covering and the R1. And so if they're using the electronic whistles that they just hit a button with their hand, it is a lot harder to hear those.
In attendance are members of the media, members of our ESPN U crew. Blocked, and a point for Syracuse. Well, this takes you back to the first set when Pittsburgh would go on runs and Syracuse would answer back, but Syracuse has been dictating the play here in this second set, Jenny.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the blocking at the net for Syracuse. They've really been able to disrupt, especially anybody swinging on the right side. They've gotten a lot of good blocks or good block touches, and that's just really slowed down the Pitt offense.
Syracuse playing with a ton of confidence right now, too. Good block by Pittsburgh to keep it in play. Backline hit, dug out by Markova. Quick set, Cassiano tried to drop it in, and it ends up falling in, and a point for Syracuse.
And you saw Jordan Lockwood trying to just make a play on that easy tip shot and sort of just hesitated, and so the ball just kind of fell right in front of her. Syracuse did a great job rallying in that one.
This is not a position we are accustomed to seeing Pittsburgh in very often in the ACC last year. In fact, last year when Syracuse took on Pittsburgh, Syracuse lost at home in 3 sets. Pittsburgh trying to figure things out here in the second set as Syracuse trying to even up at a set apiece.
And when you looked at Syracuse, you knew they could compete, but would they be ready so early?
You see the numbers for Pittsburgh in this pure domination, 3 straight titles, undefeated in conference play last year. They haven't lost an ACC match since October of 2018. Standard of excellence that's been set by Dan Fisher since taking over. Now in his 8th year, he signed a contract extension after last season that will take him through 2026 year.
On the way the ACC is playing this season, you know, they're playing in pods, 3 different pods. Well, the pod that Pitt and Syracuse are in is arguably maybe the toughest pod in the conference. So just right off the bat, you know, having to play, you know, one of the tougher teams in the conference. And then, of course, you know, Notre Dame beats Louisville. So their entire pod is really tough. And it's one of the things where the coaches, I think, enjoy having the tough competition. I mean, that's how you get better and see where your weaknesses are and, you know, prepare for what is hopefully postseason play next semester. But, you know, you also haven't played anybody. Usually at this point, you've had a preseason where you kind of have learned some things about your team.
You know, this Syracuse team was 9-9 in the conference last year, and in their pod is Pittsburgh. Now, overall, Pittsburgh won 30 games last year. Louisville won 22 games last year. BC had 20 wins last year. Notre Dame had 19 wins last year. So you're right, Jenny, that is a very challenging pod. This has been a competitive match so far between Pittsburgh and Syracuse, as Syracuse up by 7.
And this time it's Jordan Lockwood going off the hands of the block in front of her. A little bit up and down match for Jordan Lockwood, but she's maybe settling in just a little bit as of late.
Point going to the Panthers after the deflection, and another point going to Pittsburgh here. Good hustle play by Syracuse, unable to get there. And the Panthers trying to build a little momentum.
The passing for Syracuse has been pretty solid, so if Pitt can really serve a little bit more aggressively, try to get a few more plays like that, that's what they've got to do to slow down the offense we're seeing from Syracuse.
Dug out by the Panthers. Blocked by Franco. And a hitting error for Pittsburgh. It's a point for Syracuse.
And Syracuse just keeps making the plays defensively. That time the set was low, so there wasn't much Wakolo could really do with that. She tried to keep it in play, but she couldn't. And I just think the pressure that Syracuse is putting on Pitt right now, because they're not making a ton of mistakes. They're just playing solid volleyball.
Karakazi to serve. Lund was ready for that. Chance here for Syracuse. Placed in again. Wakolo got there. Lund with the kill.
And how about the defense from the middle blocker? She couldn't make it all the way over there to close the block. So she made sure that she got there, and that set up this big swing with 3 blockers in front. And look at Kayla Lund finding a small sliver of space in between the blockers.
6 kills and 4 digs for the senior from Pasadena. Shamanova has it deflected out of play. It's a point for Syracuse, so the first to 20 here in the second set.
Well, Syracuse just continuing to swing very freely. You can tell that they are comfortable in their offense. You can tell they're not afraid to swing, and I think a lot of that comes off of, you know, just their players doing a good job of covering their hitters so that they can swing as aggressively as they are.
2013, Sada with the serve. Good recovery by Popovich. And another point for Syracuse.
Yeah, a block again for Syracuse. Yastru and Abby Cassiano getting in on the block there.
Pittsburgh took set 1, 25-21. Syracuse has controlled this second set. And a good quick return by Pittsburgh for a point.
Anytime Pitt has been able to run their offense through the middle, they're able to get kills, and a lot of that has to do with the type of block and defense that Syracuse is setting up on the other side. They're spread blocking. So again, the one-on-one with the middle is always going to be open if Pitt can get a good pass.
Akeo on to serve for the Panthers. That's deflected out of play, and that's another point for Syracuse, and the Orange closing in on a second set victory, 3 points away.
Shamanova just such a heads-up play to take that tip and go off the hands. That was very much on purpose. It wasn't her getting lucky. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Lauren Hogan serves for Syracuse. Hogan with the set from the back line, and that one is a point for the Orange.
Syracuse is just comfortable in everything they're doing right now, playing great defense, all of their hitters ready to attack. That time the ball going to the back row attacker, Sada, and she gets a great kill with 3 blockers in front of her.
Orange 2 points away. Now that didn't look like it was shaping up to be much for Pittsburgh, but it worked out for the Panthers. They get the point.
Ende having to pass that first ball, and it wasn't a great pass. So then having to hit an out-of-system ball, but she's able to sneak it in through the block.
Lund serving for Pittsburgh, down 8. Blocked back and a point for the Panthers. Stark's at the net.
Absolutely. Starks is doing a great job in some one-on-one situations. It is just her. She does have a little bit of help trying to come from Inde, but I really like seeing how Starks is lining up on her middle and getting her hands over the net fast.
Hogan digs it out. And a point for Syracuse. Pittsburgh tried to get there, but it's now set point for the Orange.
Well, we saw one off-speed shot by Shimanova, and it was picked up by Pitt. Well, then she went off-speed again, but just put it in a different area, and that's what a really smart attacker is going to do.
Yastrub serving for the set. Pittsburgh still alive here in set 2.
Pittsburgh would have to go on a really good run, clearly, but getting some good swings here for Pitt before they head into the next set is vital as well, because I mean, Inde taking a great swing like that is going to give them confidence going into set 3.
Syracuse trying to put away set number 2. Not yet. Battle at the net, sent right back, kept alive by Pittsburgh. Inde blocked back, and that's it. Syracuse has evened things up here at home.
And what a fitting way to end that set, because it was the Syracuse block that really kept the offense of Pitt at bay. They frustrated the hitters continually throughout that set, so it's only fitting that it ends on a block.
A convincing second set victory for Syracuse evens things up as we head to set 3. During our intermission, the inspiring story of Naomi Franco from Syracuse. Stick around for that. We'll be right back.
We at the ACC know that change needs to occur.
Despite our rivalries,
This is the time to unite.
We need to come together to conquer biases.
as well as oppression.
We are committed to seeing each other as equals.
and treating each other with respect.
and dignity at all times.
We must hold ourselves
And those around us.
to a higher standard.
Because racism and bigotry
Will not be tolerated.
We must fight for racial and social justice.
We at the ACC
To Syracuse as we take a look at the stats through 2 sets.
And Syracuse really picked it up in the second set, hitting 361, whereas Pitt hit 184 in the second set. So that was a big reason for the difference. And a lot of that has to do with the Syracuse block. And we saw just out of the gate, the attackers for Pitt, we saw an error. And that is what you're going to see when they're getting blocked. They're going to try to do other things and make a few more errors. So really have to credit the Syracuse blockers for frustrating Pitt.
Popovich, the senior transfer, making her Pittsburgh debut here this evening. Shimanova with 11 kills through the first 2 sets, and that'll be a point for Syracuse.
Well, Syracuse has tried to really work on speeding up their offense, and sometimes you're seeing where the setters and hitters aren't exactly connecting on the best swing. In that situation, it looked like Shimanova was maybe a little earlier. The set was a little high, one of the two, but still she manages to take care of it and get a kill.
Block back and a point for Pittsburgh. Inde with the point. She'll check out. Replay.
Just this kind of hustle we saw all throughout the second set, really throughout the match for Syracuse, but they kept a lot of those balls in play in the second set. That was allowing the hitters to just keep swinging aggressively, saying, hey, my teammates have my back. They're going to go chase that ball down. And they won a lot of those rallies. So Syracuse just really being committed to, you have to work hard to get in there and cover your hitters like that. It's a lot of work, and you can see them just hustling nonstop in this one.
Kylie Levers comes in to serve for the Panthers. Point for Syracuse.
Markova out of the middle for Syracuse. Again, with the good pass allowing the setters for Syracuse to set the middle. And, you know, I don't think that enough can be said for how important passing is in the sport of volleyball. And right now, I think Syracuse is winning that battle.
Which you usually would not say too often in a Pittsburgh matchup. Because
absolutely.
I don't think there are many programs who can pass better than Pittsburgh as we've seen the last few years, but it just shows you that Syracuse has raised their level of play, and Leonard Yellen wasn't sure what he was going to see on the court, but he's got to be thrilled. He thought maybe it'd be a match or two. How about from set 1 to set 2, just the improvements right there.
That's right.
Blocked back, and it's going to be another point for Syracuse. Back in front.
Pitt continuing to set a lot to their right side attackers, even in out-of-system situations. So I think that's making it a little bit easier for the Syracuse blockers to get set up, because Pitt's a little bit predictable with where they're going to go in those situations.
Shimanova puts it into play, but cannot clear the net, so it's a point for Pittsburgh. Syracuse avoided service errors and really any errors in that second set, Jenny.
Yeah, they definitely cleaned up their game and didn't make it easy at all for Pitt.
Wakolo set to serve for the Panthers. Point for Syracuse back in front.
Yeah, at that time it's a setter dump. Karkasi gets a good pass, but she, instead of setting up her hitters, the first time we're seeing her go over on the second ball. So just bringing that little element in there is just going to add to what Pitt is trying to slow down.
Karkasi led the team in assists per set last year as the setter. The junior from Greece, off to a great start in the season opener, already 24 assists here as we play in the third set. Going to be long, and it's going to be a point for Syracuse.
And systematically, Pitt has their off blockers getting those tip shots, and so when Syracuse doesn't feel like they can get a good swing, they're going off speed to take that outside attacker out of the play, and it's allowing their blockers to really focus on getting a good block set up on the opposite.
Blocked by Syracuse again, and another point for the Orange.
Cassiano, the middle blocker that's in right now for Syracuse, just getting her hands over really early, taking away the shot that Starks wanted to hit. Well, the one-on-one in the middle is where Syracuse had been getting beat. So great job by Cassiano to make that adjustment.
I know in this time when we're all wearing face coverings and masks, we try to read eyes to see when somebody's smiling, but sometimes it's tough to tell. So you got to go with the fist in the air. If you're just letting everybody know, I'm happy with that. You can't see I'm smiling under this mask, as we saw from Leonard Yellen, and he's got some more to smile about.
As the block for Syracuse continues to frustrate the right side attackers for Pitt. We're going to see Pitt going into it, back into a 5-1. This will mean they have a front row setter, and it's a smaller setter in the front row now as Akeo is back in.
Good serve from Markova. Pittsburgh unable to handle it, and timeout coming again for Pittsburgh. They have been on their heels since winning set number 1.
Markova, known for her aggressive serve, taking advantage of some miscues by Pitt.
Set number 3, even at a set apiece. Syracuse leading in the third.
You hearing that? That's the sound of true friendship. Because when you have the $10 taco and burrito cravings pack, there's not much more you need to say. Get it for the friends that get it. Only at Taco Bell.
Paulina Shimanova and the Syracuse Orange have all the momentum right now. After dropping the first set, they won set 2 handily, and they are out to an early lead here in set number 3.
You see the kill numbers there. She leads all players with 12 kills. She also leads the Syracuse in digs. We saw her block numbers there on that stat line as well. Just really doing it all for Syracuse.
Pittsburgh set up Lund out of the timeout, but another good block by Syracuse. The defense has been there, and the Orange are up by 6 here in the third.
And remember, Pitt has been running a 6-2, but they have put their starting setter, who's undersized, back in the front row, Alexis Akeo. So they only have 2 front row attackers right now. So the block for Syracuse knows they only have to key on those 2 people.
Up by Syracuse, trying to keep this run going. Blocked back, and another point for Syracuse.
And you just have to applaud the awareness of the Syracuse players. They know that there's a front row setter, and then they took this ball and put it to the off blocker. She couldn't transition all the way out, so the Syracuse block is able to get set up on that more inside set and get a stuff.
Karakazi and Cassiano there for the block, forcing another timeout to be called here by Pittsburgh. Again, these are the things that we saw with Pittsburgh's opponents trying to take timeouts to try to slow down the Panthers' run. That's the kind of confidence and the kind of momentum that Syracuse has built up here as Pittsburgh takes another timeout. The tone, as usual, set by Paulina Shimanova, the junior from St. Petersburg, Russia, first team all-conference last year and the year before when she was the ACC Freshman of the Year. And her junior year, I'd say, is off to a pretty good start.
Well, and she would be considered undersized at 6 foot for an outside hitter at the highest levels, but she certainly doesn't play like it, just can attack every area of the court.
12 kills to lead Syracuse in that category, 8 digs to lead the Orange in that category, 3 blocks as well, so 3.5 blocks. So she has been filling up the stat sheet, but she has not been alone here, Jenny, as you pointed out, just the way that Syracuse has played, getting contributions from everyone. Obviously, number 11 is going to be the one who's always leading the conversation, but you pointed out early in that second set that when Syracuse started turning things, everyone had a hand in that comeback for the Orange.
And some of those won't show up in a stat line. Covering a hitter is not counted as a dig. It's not statted as anything. And just so those little things that Syracuse is doing is really helping them just keep the ball in play and make good plays.
7-0 run for the Orange comes to a close. Out of the Pittsburgh timeout, a point for the Panthers to bring it to 6.
And that's the part of the rotation with the front row setter, so we haven't seen a ton of slides from Pitt because they've been in a 6-2. So Pitt's able to get a perfect pass and set up the slide for Starks.
7th kill for Starks, a KO to serve for Pittsburgh. Akea with the dig. Ende with a big swing and the point for Pittsburgh.
Ende doing a nice job of swinging. Again, she had double block in front of her, so she knew she had to swing high, and she got high through the hands of the middle blocker, Cassiano, right there. So really, Pitt is their attackers are having to really work around a double block a lot.
Team high 8 kills for Ende and a service error for Pittsburgh. Point Syracuse. Karakazi will serve for the Orange. Point Pittsburgh.
And that time, Ende makes the smart play that we've seen a lot on the other side of the net, where the ball set a little bit tight. She's just going to swipe it off of the outside hand of the blocker there in front of her, Yastro.
Kayla Lund serves it for the Panthers. Karakazi with the set. point for Syracuse, back on top by 6.
Syracuse definitely exposing where Pitt is going to struggle some, at least right for now. They're not picking up those off-speed tip shots all that well. And even when they do, they've been out of system quite a bit on those plays. They're not able to get good swings.
Cassiano having a great start to her sophomore year, 7 kills now. That one is deflected, and the Syracuse bench scrambling because, as we've shown you time and again, Syracuse just absolutely laying out here against the top team in the conference on multiple occasions, but unable to get to that one, so it's a point for Pittsburgh. Popovich. Good serve. And deflected, out of play, point Syracuse.
Yet again, another great high swing. Perfect pass, all attacking options available, and Yastrub just goes high off the hands of the blockers, and we're seeing that all of the Syracuse attackers are really making smart decisions in where they attack the ball. They're not just trying to bounce it straight down, because that's where you get in danger. Swinging low in the seam, that's, blockers are taking that away.
Quick return and a point for Syracuse. This should not come as a surprise when you're seeing all these kills, because there's so much experience back from last year's team, including the top 5 in kills from a year ago for the Orange. Markova, who was 3rd on the team in kills per set last year. Cassiano making the big jump this year. And Syracuse back up by 7. Blocked back, but out of play, and Syracuse adds to their lead.
Again, Syracuse is playing just very free, and Pitt, being the team that was picked to finish first in the ACC, of course, anytime anybody's playing against them, they're really going to bring their best, and we're seeing Syracuse do that right now.
Makeo back set for Ende. Kept alive by Syracuse, another good hustle play, and they're still in the point. Doesn't last very long, though, when Ende's given a little time to wind up that big right arm, and she puts it away for the point for Pittsburgh.
Now, Ende, she has 27 attack attempts for Pitt. The next highest on the team is Lund with 18. So really having to carry a lot of the offensive load just due to their system and having to set the opposites a lot because the outsides are getting sucked in on those off-speed shots.
Ende hitting at 296 as we play here in the 3rd. Lund right at the net. Tap back by Akeo. And a point from Faki from distance.
We're seeing Pitt stay in the 5-1 with Akeo in the front row. So that's going to help a little bit with some of the consistency in the setting. And one of the things that Dan Fisher said that they might do is go to a 5-2 where the taller setter would come in the front row. Of course, you see her in there right now serving, but she's not setting. She's just going in and serving, and I'm guessing playing defense because Akeo was the one running the offense. So just interesting to see what they're doing, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the next set they run a 5-2. The taller setter in the front row, shorter setter in the back row.
Yeah, Jenny, when we talked to Dan Fisher yesterday when the team was busing up from Pittsburgh to Syracuse, he said they weren't set on a starting lineup or a formation, really, that they were, no matter how many times you asked, he came up with a different combination, or which you would expect, I think, when you're trying to figure out, well, we got a couple of new pieces to put in, but I think from his point of view, and correct me if I'm wrong, he has so much talent that he feels like he could use them in a variety of ways, and he was just trying to find, well, where can I find a place for them to best succeed going into this opener? But he wasn't sold on the lineup or a formation as of yesterday, he said.
Yeah, definitely having to figure that out as they go, and this is the first match of the season. And when you talked about, all that Pitt's trying to figure out, they're still going to do that as the season goes on.
So as they talk it over during this timeout, we can tell you about a big Saturday of football on the ACC network. It starts at noon. Pittsburgh taking on Louisville. The Panthers off to a 2-0 start after a win over Cuse last Saturday. Then it's Duke at Virginia at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And then the nightcap, NC State taking on 20th ranked Virginia Tech in our ACCN primetime matchup presented by Geico. If you don't have ACCN, go to getaccn.com for instant access.
Well, you mentioned Pitt has so many different things that they can do to be strong, you know, with the way they run their offense and their team just in general. But keeping in mind, usually those things play themselves out in the non-conference portion of the schedule. So you have those non-conference matches and you're figuring those things out. Well, they're having to figure it out in this short 8-game conference slate.
Service error out of a timeout by Levers. That stops a modest 3-point run for Pittsburgh and puts Syracuse back on top by 6. Well, you have players like Levers who missed all of last year thanks to a preseason ACL injury, trying to get up to speed without that benefit of having scrimmages or non-conference games that would prepare you for the teeth of conference play. Now, to be fair, I think the Pitt inter-squad scrimmage is probably played at a pretty high level.
Definitely, but you get to where you know the players in your own gym. You know what they do. You can read them a lot easier. So, you know, it's just different. And when you play somebody else, you know, you're just having to figure out different things. And that's what we're seeing right now. Pitt's just trying to figure out where their strength is going to be in their lineup.
Syracuse by 7. Blocked back, and another successful block for Syracuse. A point for the Orange.
You really have to give props to the block for Syracuse. It's continued to just be a highlight so far and giving Syracuse the momentum they need to beat Pitt. And they're trying to do so in this third set here and take a 2-1 lead.
Yastrub serve. Baki, and a whistle. And that'll be a point for Pittsburgh.
I'm guessing that was a net violation just based on when the whistle was blown. So, you know, trying to be aggressive on the block. We're seeing a lot of good blocking from Syracuse, that time getting in there.
Faki with Pittsburgh down by 7. Syracuse tried to get the quick return, but error for Syracuse makes it 19-13 Orange.
Pitt trying to just get a little bit of momentum here. I mean, it's not out of the realm of them being able to come back in this one.
Deflected out of play, and for the second set in a row, Syracuse is the first to 20.
And when you have a player on the pin that can take swings like that we just saw from Shimanova, I mean, she is really showing why she's a special player for her team.
Paulino ready to serve here in the third. Oh, and a good serve, too.
Well, we mentioned her doing all sorts of things in the stat line, and we can add an ace to that for Shimanova. That ball just dropped, really tough to get in there and make that play.
Syracuse changing out personnel. Franco will come back in. Third ace for Syracuse. That's sent out of play, and a point for the Panthers.
And that ball looked like it might have hit off of somebody's head. Pitt in that 5-1, so we're seeing middle blocker Wakolo go behind the setter to spread the blockers a little bit. She's able to get a kill and get the side out that Pitt very much needs.
Vasquez Gomez to serve for Pittsburgh. Blocked back, but Lund unable to return it, so it's another point for the Orange.
And Pitt going with the triple block again against Shimanova out of the back row, and she's able to get the kill. And she's usually, you would think, advantage a little bit more to the blockers if the hitter's going to try to take a full swing, especially an undersized hitter like Shimanova, but she has gotten a kill in those situations almost every time.
Set back, Franco swings it, but it ends up going wide.
Franco's a lefty, and that ball was inside a little bit, so she was trying to bring it back across her body some just to avoid the block, and hits it wide, but you can see just how high above the net she is, and she's going to be a special volleyball player.
Arceo set to serve for Pittsburgh. And another point for the Panthers.
Ende doing a nice job because the blockers never even had to move from the first swing she took to the second one. So making sure that she transitioned pretty hard so she could get a good jump and a good swing.
Yastrub will come back in for the Orange. Arceo, Pittsburgh down by 6. Looking for Lund, and she'll get the kill. It's been a very quiet third set for Kayla Lund.
And a lot of it is Kayla Lund hasn't been getting set that much because they've been scrambling, not passing all that well, setting the opposite a lot. We talked earlier about Ende has 32 attempts and Kayla Lund has 18 so far in this match, and that's not typically something I think Coach Fisher would want to see.
Dropped in. I was about to say, big point here for Syracuse, because if Pittsburgh gets that point, it's 22-18. Pittsburgh's got the momentum, but instead of going with the power, they go with the touch to get the points.
And that was a perfectly placed tip. I mean, she barely cleared the block. The blocker's on her way down. Really nice job.
Starks quickly back over. Syracuse back to Pittsburgh. And Orange can't keep it alive. It's a point for the Panthers.
And finding Kayla Lund in that rotation, she stays over on the right pin. So anytime Pitt has been scrambling, they've had to try to set that ball to the outside, and that's where we see Ende staying in that rotation. So it was very important, I think, for Pitt to be able to get a ball to Lund, because she really hasn't gotten the attempts that she would normally get, and she can obviously score.
Lund to serve here for Pittsburgh, down by 5 here in the third. Big swing. Syracuse, set point.
I love that decision by the setter for Syracuse, because on a good pass, blockers are having to worry about every option, and then you go to your go-to.
Now Shimanova back with her game face. Good serve for Syracuse. And Starks keeps Pittsburgh in the set.
A good pass. Pitt going to the middle. Most of the time they've been able to find success and get kills when they set the middle. They just haven't been, especially in the middle of the court. some struggles when they're running behind.
Popovich, the serve for Pittsburgh, trying to keep them in this set. One's going long, and it's a point for the Panthers. Not done yet.
Great job by Popovich to follow it all the way to the line, making sure that ball goes out. She was there to play it if it was going to drop in. Pitt trying to really put some pressure on Syracuse.
Dug out by Lund. Hockey's got to get it across. Blocked back again by the Orange. Hit out of play and a point for Pittsburgh. Panthers battling hard here in the third.
And a great decision by Akeo to go to the middle in that rally. I mean, just some scrambling plays. She's a little bit off the net, but knowing that they're scoring when they run the ball through their middle attackers.
Syracuse is going to take a timeout here. Still Syracuse set point, but Pittsburgh with 3 straight points to make it interesting here in the third. Pittsburgh took set 1. They hit 375 in that set. 5 players with 3 kills, 25-21 Pittsburgh. But second set, all Syracuse, they won 25-17. They had an early 4-0 run and never looked back. Third set, it was a 7-0 run for Syracuse that put them on top 11-4. And they have been fairly comfortably in front since then, although it's getting a little tight around the collar here as Pittsburgh continues to fight off set points. Big day of volleyball, Texas and Oklahoma coming up next here on ESPNU. Last night, the Longhorns swept the Sooners. Logan Eggleston, 2-time All-American, had 17 kills on Thursday in leading Texas to that sweep. Of course, the Longhorns, the favorites to win the Big 12 yet again.
And the Longhorns still a pretty young team. Their top 3 attackers, all of them are sophomores. So, or excuse me, Eggleston came a year early, should have been a sophomore. She's a junior, but you know, just they've got a lot of firepower, and they're all going to be there for a few years.
Still have a lot of volleyball to be played here at the women's building in Syracuse. ACC opener for Pittsburgh and the Orange. Another set point for Syracuse. Blocked back by Pittsburgh, and the Panthers won't go away. Ende's really fired up right now.
And that's exactly what Coach Fisher wanted to see out of the timeout. Just executing. She's well over the net. The times that she has been tooled on her block, she's been a little bit late, and so she's getting tooled, but that time she made sure she had her hands over.
Long serving run here for Popovich. Another chance to win the set for Syracuse. Akeo sets it back for Ende, deflected out of play, and the Panthers have fought off another set point.
And how about the Pitt Panthers, especially Ende? She is the one that's having to take a lot of these big swings when the set is on the line, and she just doesn't face her.
It was 24-18. Another good serve. Another chance for Syracuse. Blocked back, kept alive by the Orange. Set long. And a point for Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
yep,
so
contact.
just a mistake by Syracuse, because that ball was blocked back and went off of one of the players, and that third ball needed to go over, and they didn't send it over. So a little bit of a mental miscue there.
Pittsburgh has battled all the way back, so it's no longer Syracuse set point. You have to win by 2. Popovich was a key part of that run for Pittsburgh, but now a service error, and now it's another set point for Syracuse.
Well, at least when the pressure was on, she would have lost the set if that happened. She made it to where she tried to serve a little more aggressive to possibly take the lead, and misses long.
So the freshman, Lauren Hogan, will serve.
And Syracuse has been pretty predictable with their offense now. They've been setting nothing but the outside, so we'll see if they mix that up a little bit.
Set point for Syracuse. Dug out by Pittsburgh, and that does it. Well, it got a little closer than Syracuse wanted to. They had to go extra here in the third set, but the Orange win set 3, 26-24. A 7-0 run. They were up 24-18 before Pittsburgh battled back, but in the...
You really have to admire Syracuse just, playing very free and very, like they know that they can win this match. And they just haven't seemed at all intimidated when Pitt, I mean, gosh, they have so many great players returning and, off of a great season last season, and Syracuse doesn't seem phased.
Syracuse with a lot of returning players as well, 11 returning letter winners, and you get the idea that they remembered, maybe watched a little tape of last year's meeting when Pittsburgh swept them in this building.
And Yastrop right off the bat, just taking a good swing. We're continuing to see more players than just Shamanova get some kills here and there when needed.
Lauren Hogan, the freshman, making her collegiate debut here tonight. Akeo with the set to Ende.
And this is the serve receive rotation where Ende is on the outside.
Long rally here. It ends in a point for Pittsburgh.
Finally able to get that ball to the right pin over to Lund, and that has happened a number of times where they're just rallying and there's out of system situations, but they can't set the ball back to Lund. And so finally keeping the ball alive long enough to get it to her. And that's why, we've seen where Ende has so many more attempts.
Ende with the big hit. They were all scrambling on the sideline, including the head coach, Leonard Yellen. I don't know if he was trying to play that and try to get away with it. I think he was just trying to make sure he didn't get run over, though. Yeah, there he is. He's still got a pretty good quickness, though. I'll give Coach credit. First lead for Pittsburgh since very early in that third set. That one's hammered right at Hogan, but somehow it's kept alive, and Hogan's the one who sends it back over. Tipped, and no getting this one for Hogan. A point for Pittsburgh.
And after great hustle plays by Syracuse, a really nice job keeping that ball alive, Pitt stayed patient, and the attackers just kept doing their job, working hard to transition and taking good swings, and it paid off.
Kayla Lund on a service run here for the Panthers, a senior, the reigning player of the year in the ACC, but off the mark this time, and it's a point for Syracuse. Yastrub to serve for the Orange. Quick for Starks, who hammers it home. 10th kill for Sabrina Starks.
The pass wasn't perfect on the net, but a nice job by Akeo to find her middle, Sabrina Starks, because Starks is really scoring at a high efficiency when she's getting the ball set in the middle of the court. So whether it's in front of the setter, sometimes behind the setter, maybe not as high of an efficiency for the middles.
Starks hitting at .444 for the Panthers. 23 assists now for Akeo. And that one's not going to make it over.
And I like the decision to go to Kayla Lund in the back row. You want your All-American, your reigning ACC Player of the Year, to have the ability to affect this match, but just set was a little bit high if they were trying to run a BIC, which is a faster back row attack, and the ball was set a little bit high for that.
Kept alive as Hogan bumps it over. KO, another quick set and another point, this time for Wakola.
Whenever we're seeing the middle attack, again, because of the spread block of Syracuse, it's always going to be a one-on-one. So really important for Pitt to continue to feed their middles like that when they've got the one-on-one situation.
We are service error for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, sorry, Eric. We are seeing that Pittsburgh is running the 5-2. So the taller setter, Kayla Levers, coming in the front row so that she can be a bigger blocking presence, while we saw Alexis Akeo setting in the back row.
Deflected back and out of play, and it's a point for the Panthers.
And we mentioned Kylie Levers, the setter that is in right now for Pitt, who suffered an ACL injury before the regular season even got started last year. So her coming in and knowing that she's having to compete all over again with the reigning ACC Freshman of the Year, but she looks like she hasn't missed a beat.
And a point for Syracuse, but Pittsburgh, a lot of protests coming from the Pittsburgh players. Each team has used a video challenge so far.
I mean, almost no block in front of Sade there, because the setter, Carcasey, she jumped like she was going to hit, and then it held the blockers, and she had almost no block, but then hit it, what looked to be, I know we have a challenge here. It looked pretty close. I can see why they're challenging this.
So Pittsburgh will use their second of 3 challenges here.
And that looked like the ball really might have caught just the edge of the line. If it touches any part of the line, it's in.
You can see where it hits is even with the Pittsburgh coach, Dan Fisher. So from his angle, he's looking straight at it, and it's tough to tell, but you can see his player, Vasquez Gomez, was one of the first ones who was the closest to it and turned right around and thought she saw a little bit of daylight between the line and that blue.
And I think
it's
that
like
call
it catches
will probably,
the outside,
yep.
Doesn't it?
I think it'll probably be confirmed, but not a bad time. You've got the challenge. You might as well use it. You really need to force a 5th set. You get another challenge anyways if we go to a 5th set. So good time to do that. Talk to his blockers a little bit about making sure that, there was not an attacker in his right side blockers, lane. The only thing she had to worry about was that outside hitter, and she wasn't there.
So once again, Debbie LaValle over at the replay monitor. And it's a point for Syracuse. Dan Fisher 0 for 2 on his challenges here today. So it's a kill for Sada. She's having a good match. 8th kill for her. That's second on the team. Behind Shamanova, who has 16 in 39 rather total attempts. Karakazi serving for Syracuse, down by 1. Hogan with the dig. Kayla Lund winds in, finds a point for Pittsburgh.
And I have to imagine Kayla Lund is saying, feed me the ball, because she's someone who can do things like that. 2 blockers in front of her, go up high and hit it sharp cross court. And, if the Pitt has the ability to get her the ball, whether it's in system or out of system, you absolutely have to think they're going to do that.
Ashley Browski was in the game for the moment. Now she'll check out. You see the numbers for Kayla Lund, the ACC Player of the Year last year, the first time a Pittsburgh player has won that award. Lund with a quick reload for Pittsburgh, kept alive by Syracuse. Lund again, but it's going to be a point for Syracuse.
And that set looked a touch wide for where Lund was approaching, so she says that she's going to take care of it. That's on her when she looks over to her coach. And again, I think that's a veteran thing to say. You've got your setter coming back from an ACL, and any good hitter is going to say, I'll make the adjustment. I'm going to take care of that.
Sada to serve. Syracuse up 2-1, best of 5. One blocked back, and that's how Syracuse went on that run in the second set and into the third set. They were getting the blocks for points, and they were stopping Pittsburgh from building any momentum. They've tied it up here in the 4th.
And that's 10 team blocks, 10 total blocks in this match for Syracuse. So, that's something that we didn't see last year from this team, but huge improvements in their blocking game.
I think Abby Cassiano has really shown up well here today. Her coach, Leonard Yellen, told us this week that he thought she was so improved, and not just with her physical ability. He said she's improved physically, but more vocal. Added as a co-captain as a sophomore, and she's someone that has really been noticeable here today, Jenny.
Absolutely. You really like seeing players grow in other areas of their game, not just the physical side. And sometimes that can be uncomfortable, and it takes you out of your comfort zone to do different things. And, but just really seeing her team needing her to step up and do, some of the other things. And, look, it's working for Syracuse.
Second on the team in points here tonight with 9. Leaders with the serve. Sent right back by Syracuse, and the Orange have tied it again.
And Syracuse just continuing to pass the ball pretty well. Kind of tight there, but outstanding athletic play by Carcasey just to set up her middle with a one-handed set.
Hogan serves. And Day. Just don't want to get in the way of that sometimes. She has been on target, hitting .342 now with 14 kills.
And I like this play in this rotation because Ende, she typically, is swinging on the right. Well, that time they sent the middle. They stacked the outside hitter over on her side, ran the middle behind, and Ende ran a quick attack in the middle. That's something we haven't seen yet.
Syracuse goes to the quick attack in the middle, and they get the point.
Markova gets so fired up. She's so fun to watch. Another great pass. And then really no block because that was so fast. And Syracuse coach Leonard Yellen saying that we were going to see them running a faster paced offense, and that's what it brings, where your attackers are swinging with virtually no block in front of them.
Dug out by the Orange. Akeo sets it back for Ende, who's got the win of the point for Pittsburgh.
Nice angle by Ende. She's really mixing up where she's hitting the ball on the court so that the team, her opponent, can't just set up and and just, okay, she's going to hit here, hit there. She's really mixing up her shots.
Big swing by Fockey, and a point for Pittsburgh.
And
up by 2 now in the 4th.
That's what's open for the outside hitters for Pitt, swinging down the line because the defender's not all the way on the line. They've got one of the defenders up in behind the block, and that defender that's responsible more for the line is not all the way there. So if she can keep swinging at that, then she'll score.
That is the 10th service error for Pittsburgh tonight. Lauren Woodford comes on for Syracuse. Shamanova to serve for the Orange, having an outstanding season opener here for Syracuse. 17 kills, 11 digs. That one goes out, and it's a point for Syracuse.
And the passing game for Pitt, that time that ball was tight, so you saw Kayer trying to get Wakolo the ball, but it just was really hard because it was tight, and she put it too high, and Wakolo missed.
Great job by the Orange to keep it alive. Looked like a sure point for Pittsburgh, but now Ende makes sure of it this time.
And Ende trying to put her team on her back and do everything she can to make sure they win this set. And we talked about hitters staying patient. Like she's gotten dug. You know, she's at times getting blocked, and she's just staying patient, and she knows that she's going to get the ball set to her, and she's going to have to score quite a bit for her team.
Valeria Vasquez-Gomez, redshirt freshman, didn't play last year, making her debut here tonight for Pittsburgh. That one goes long, was not touched. It's a point for the Panthers, back up by 2.
And I believe that's the first attack error we've seen by Shamanova out of the back row. So, you know, not a bad decision to set her. She just missed, was swinging aggressive, and she missed.
Vasquez-Gomez again. Good serve. Set right back by Pittsburgh, and they've stretched it out to a 3-point lead here in the 4th. And a timeout on the floor in Syracuse. Pittsburgh trying to come back and even it up and send it to a 5th set up here by 3 in the 4th.
Our new McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets are just the right amount of spicy. A medium Sprite kind of spicy. But if you get the mighty hot sauce, well, good luck. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Well, it's a big weekend on the campus of Syracuse University. For the first time since March, there's games. There'll be a football game at noon tomorrow at the new look Carrier Dome, a new roof, a crown truss. That just looks odd after looking at the Carrier Dome all these years. A new center hung scoreboard, new sound and lighting, a $118 million project. Sadly, no fans due to COVID-19 in the Dome tomorrow. The team will get a chance to take a look at it tomorrow for the first time. They host Georgia Tech in the home opener at the renovated Dome. This event you're watching right now is the first sporting event on the Syracuse campus since everything ended back in March, and it is a great return to competition as Syracuse and Pittsburgh in a great battle here in the ACC volleyball opener for these two programs. ACC three-time defending champions on the floor, the Pittsburgh Panthers, and they've got all they can handle from Syracuse so far. They're down 2-1 as we play here in the 4th set.
And a net violation called on the Syracuse blockers.
So a little run here for Pittsburgh with Vasquez-Gomez on the serve. And Yellen's team lost in the first set 25-21, but then back-to-back wins 25-17 and 26-24. They're straightening out the substitutions. That's why we have the delay. They've got it all worked out. That's going to be a long serve. Service error again for Pittsburgh. That's number 11.
A great run by Vasquez Gomez to give Pitt a little bit of a lead here as they're trying to force a fifth set.
Markova answers back with the service error.
Well, Markova is one of those players that also has a very aggressive serve, and it's something that Leonard Yellen had talked about beforehand, but, you know, sometimes that comes with missing a little bit too much and pretty inopportune time to miss that serve.
Lund sends it over for Hogan. Blocked back, kept alive by Hogan again. Dropped in beautifully from the back row.
What a perfect placement for that back row set. She tipped it to the sideline and short. So again, Shimanova, what can't she do? I mean, she
can't always celebrate perfectly. I mean, that one was not great by her standards.
That's right.
we found a little problem, but that's about it. She'd like to have that back, but she doesn't want those numbers back. 18 kills, 13 digs to pace Syracuse in both categories. Karakazi. 36 assists for her as she serves, and then a breakdown for Pittsburgh.
Just an unfortunate miscommunication for Pitt, and Coach Dan Fisher does not like seeing that, so he's going to call a timeout right away. And it looked like Kylie Levers was calling help, but it was really in a position where she could get it, so it's kind of understandable.
Well, if Pittsburgh's going to come back and win this set and force a fifth and deciding set, you know one person who wants it is Chineza Ende, the senior from Houston, co-captain for this team. First team all-conference last year, and she has really set the tone here, Jenny, for Pittsburgh tonight.
16 kills, 1 error on 41 attempts. She's hitting .366. And, you know, in a match where Pitt's having a hard time getting the ball to the reigning ACC Player of the Year, I mean, Ende has said, hey, just put it on my shoulders. I've got this. And she really has stepped up. And, I mean, there's a reason she was picked in preseason All-ACC. She was first team All-ACC last season. She's an outstanding player, but she's the one who's carrying the bulk of the offensive load now for Pitt.
So out of the Pittsburgh timeout, they lead by 2, needing to win this set to force a fifth set. Syracuse ready to serve with Karakazi. Almost the same thing happened to Pittsburgh. Panthers out of sync at this point. Can they save it? They cannot. Well, Fisher takes the timeout after watching the communication breakdown right in front of him, and then on the very next point, it looked to be something very similar, Jenny.
Absolutely, a lower pass kind of in that right back area, so the setter, Levers, calling for help, and it took a diving save just to keep the ball alive.
Syracuse within 1. Lund, a point for Pittsburgh.
Lund on the first swing, which was further out to the pin, just couldn't get a good contact. So a little bit of just not connecting between Levers and Lund. But the second attack was pulled in the court a little bit more on a designed play, and Lund was able to put it away.
Setting it back, and that's going to be a point for Syracuse.
Yastrub has also just been a consistent player throughout this match. When she's in the front row, she's really been doing a nice job of taking some good swings. 7 kills, no errors, hitting .538.
Sada serves for Syracuse. And a point for the Panthers. Back up by 2. Day back in for Pittsburgh. Levers to serve. Put back by the Orange for a point. Cassiano.
Syracuse continuing to feed the middle, and that time she did have 2 blockers in front of her, but I mean, she really found that seam, small seam of the block for a kill. Both middles really celebrate for Syracuse. They're fun to watch.
And Day right at Hogan, who could do nothing with it. And Pittsburgh back in front by 2.
The same thing we saw in that rotation last time around, where the middle ran behind on the slide and Ende stayed in front of the setter and gets the quick attack kill.
Kayla Lund ready to serve for Pittsburgh. Set to the outside, blocked by the Panthers. Back for Ende, blocked back by Syracuse. Ende gets this one to go.
How about it, Ende? She knows she's got 2 blockers in front of her. She knows she's got to really make a smart shot. She can't just swing into the solid double block. She hits it high enough, gets the kill off of hands.
18 kills for the senior from Houston. Lund to serve again. That one's going to be a point for Syracuse.
Pass was a little bit tight, but Markova just goes up and out jumps the blockers on the other side of the net and keeps it just out of their reach. It's really heads up play.
You've pointed out from really early in the second set, Markova and Cassiano, those middles have really set the tone. Shimanova is putting up some great numbers, but it started with the play at the net from those 2. That's deflected out of play, and that's going to be a point for Syracuse, and the Orange battling back here in the 4th.
Karkazi choosing to go over. This is only the 2nd time she's done it in the match, going over on 2 and pushes it deep. Last time she went shorter to the sideline, so really smart in just where she's doing, where she's putting the ball and when she's choosing to go over on 2. Good
serve and a point for Syracuse. We're tied at 20 here in the 4th. 3 straight points for the Orange to even things up. Yastrub. Ende. Kept alive by the Orange. Blocked back, no one there, and it's a point for Pittsburgh.
Clutch block by Ende. You saw the celebration. She went to the floor on her knees celebrating after this block, because they need these points here so that they can go on a, get to the 5th set, and really that helped stop a little bit of momentum that Syracuse had.
Syracuse had run off 3 straight points to tie it at 20. Popovich. Good return, but it goes just wide, and it's a point for Syracuse.
What a side out. Popovich was the server that went on that long run to get Pitt back in the 3rd set. And, even though Syracuse ended up winning it, she went on a long service run. Of course, you notice that Popovich is not in the libero jersey anymore either.
Shimanova. Ende. Another kill for the senior.
And if I were setting for Pitt, I would do the same thing. I mean, Ende has been money getting the kills when Pitt needs it here down the stretch. In this little bit, when it's her turn to serve, she comes out of the game. And it looks like we did get a double sub too.
And Vasquez Gomez comes on to serve. We've seen that quite a bit.
But we have the other setter coming in, Levers in the front row.
So they're still trying to sort out the substitutions here. You can always tell when all the heads are turned towards the scorer's table. Like, okay. I think we're ready to play. The electronic whistle almost sounds like an inadvertent whistle or shoe squeaking sometimes. It's not the big, like, let's, take charge, like something is happening here. It's just almost sounds accidental sometimes. That's going to be deflected. No. Yes, it is deflected out of play. Pittsburgh was celebrating. Syracuse was celebrating. The Syracuse celebration can continue. Tied at 22.
Markova does a great job of taking a set that she doesn't feel like she can get a good swing at and just finding hands and tooling the block, and just that sort of smart heads-up play from the sophomores been really impressive to me.
Here is Markova to serve. Polo has it sent back. Browski's on now for Pittsburgh. Syracuse scrambling. Pittsburgh still in it. Faki has it sent back. It's a point for Syracuse. And what a point it is for the Orange as they close in 2 points away from taking this match.
And that's block number 11 for Syracuse. And it's the setter who comes up with the big stuff at a key moment. That's why, people get a little bit more excited when the setters who are, not quite as tall as maybe the opposites get the stuff blocked.
We've seen a lot of passion from this Syracuse team. It's such an interesting lineup, Jenny, with just the international connection, 6 international players. And, generally, Leonid Yellen goes over to Europe and Eastern Europe, and he's found a lot of success there with players from Russia and Ukraine. He said he would extend his recruiting orbit if given the chance, though, right?
Yes, in an interview earlier this week, he said, if I could get a good player from the moon, she was a good person, I'd take her. Just referring to the fact that it doesn't matter to him where players are from. Are you good at volleyball? Are you a good person? Are you a good student? Well, then we want you here playing at Syracuse. But I thought it was funny that his reference wasn't anywhere else. It was, if there's a good player on the moon, take him.
Now, I don't know what his recruiting budget is. I think that would break his budget if he was actually going to take a trip to the moon and see if there was anything up there.
Syracuse could probably, spend their money a little more wisely. I don't know, maybe
there's a ride, a SpaceX ride will come down in price in the next few years, and maybe he will be out there. But this team has really come together. That first set, Pittsburgh won it 25-21, but then Syracuse turned things around, winning by 8 in set 2, went to extra time in set 3, won 26-24. They were down 20-17 here in this fourth set, but they have come back and they're building momentum back on their side. Can they get it over the top and knock off the 3-time defending ACC champions?
We're seeing Markova has been a big part of this for Syracuse, 10 kills. She's a great server as well.
And a service error for Markova, so it's 23-all. Pittsburgh has won 15 in a row on the road. Their last loss in conference play was against Duke in October of 2018. They went undefeated in conference play in 2019. Lost only that one game to Duke in 2018. So Syracuse trying to pull off the upset, but we're even at 23 now here in the fourth. That's a point for Syracuse. Pittsburgh again celebrating. The official saying it was deflected, and it is match point for the Orange. We'll see if there'll be a review here.
And I'm guessing that the down official heard that, and we're not seeing a challenge, so I'm pretty sure the blocker told her coach, yeah, I touched it.
Match point for Syracuse. Karakazi the serve. Lund keeps Pittsburgh in it.
And that's who you would want taking a big swing right there, because we don't have Inde in the front row. The setter's front row, Levers, is in the front row for Pitt. So that's when Kayla Lund is needing to be the one to come up with the kills.
Have to win by 2. Baki digs it out. Lund deflected, kept alive by the Orange. And a point for Pittsburgh. Set point for the Panthers. And a timeout being called here by Syracuse. Down by 1 here in the 4th. So these two teams will meet again tomorrow night in Syracuse. Again, teams are put in pods of 5 teams each. So Syracuse and Pittsburgh will meet tomorrow, and then Syracuse will be at Notre Dame for 2. Notre Dame with an impressive victory today against Louisville, sweeping the Cardinals in Louisville. After falling down by 7 in the first set, the Irish came back to win that first set. Charlie Nigo had 11 kills to knock off a team that reached the Elite 8 in 2019. So Notre Dame and Louisville next up for Syracuse after the rematch with the Panthers tomorrow night. After playing Syracuse tomorrow, Boston College will make a trip to Pittsburgh before the Panthers go to South Bend. So Pittsburgh fights off a match point here in the 4th set. Now they have a set point against Syracuse.
Coming out of this timeout, we saw a missed serve when Syracuse had match point. So Pitt, important to go back to the line with libero Ashley Browski is at the service line. Keep the ball in, but still can't serve super easy because that's almost an automatic side out.
Yeah, big spot for Browski. We've seen her out here the last couple of sets. She played in 9 matches last year. Deep breath, serves it, in play. Good serve too. Dropped over, and a point for Syracuse, so they fight off the set point.
Cassiano, she's also doing a great job of just tipping into some tough spots on the court for the defenders to reach. So even when the middles for Syracuse can't take big swings or get that good aggressive swing, even sometimes when they can, they're electing for an off-speed shot, and they're scoring a lot.
Sada. 25 all in the 4th. One has it blocked back, and it's out of play, so it's a point for Pittsburgh, another set point for the Panthers.
And that time the play call was to bring Lund in the court again. It seems that she and front row setter Kylie Levers connect a little bit better when she's running inside the court some. So, definitely interesting to see that they know and are aware and made that decision.
Levers, good serve. Set point number 2 for Pittsburgh. And we'll need a 5th set in Syracuse. After fighting off a match point, Pittsburgh comes back and they win it. We'll be back with set 5 in a moment.
Our new McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets are just the right amount of spicy. A medium Sprite kind of spicy. But if you get the mighty hot sauce, well...
Consistent attacking from Syracuse, and the blocking, like you mentioned, being a big part of what helped them win sets 2 and 3.
Shimanova with 18 kills to pace Syracuse. One of 4 in double figures in that category. Ende with 19 for Pittsburgh. The reigning ACC Player of the Year, Kayla Lund, with 15. Syracuse will serve first here in our deciding 5th set. Sada. Point for Syracuse.
And right away, trying to find the ability to get the ball to the middles for Syracuse. They both have been doing a great job of scoring, that time hitting the ball deep.
Syracuse with Sada again. That one's going to tie things up at 1.
And we talked about this going to 15 points, and it goes really fast. So teams don't have the ability to let someone get a huge lead and have time to come back. We saw a late surge in set 3 by Pitt, even though Syracuse was able to pull it out. I mean, you really have to take care of the ball in this 5th set.
Kayla Lund, really good serve. Great time for an ace. We've talked about some of the service errors earlier in this match, but senior comes up big with a good serve to put Pittsburgh in front.
And it was a perfect ball. It just dropped. I mean, it looked like it was coming to the passers kind of at the depth they were standing, and then it just dropped straight down.
Point for Syracuse.
Well, a phenomenal defensive. I'm sorry, great defensive play by Akeo earlier, but then Akeo not able to pick up this tip shot, and just really impressed. Cassiano finding very, very good edges of the court. So not just trying to put it in the middle, edges of the court, doing a nice job.
Lock back, hustling back for it is Shimanova. Starks, returned by the orange. And the whistle, hard to hear it again with the electronic whistle, and a point for Syracuse to put them on top by 1.
And a net violation called on the blockers of Pitt. And you're right, it can be hard to hear those electronic whistles, but an important point for Syracuse.
Serve from the freshman Hogan. Ende. That just swallowed up Syracuse. Not much to do with it as Ende continues her strong play in this season opener.
Ende really has the ability to get up high and hit it hard at a sharp angle. So, just her range is unbelievable, and it's showing in the fact that she has 20 kills, leads all players in this match right now.
Popovich on to serve for Pittsburgh. Her Pittsburgh debut here tonight. Touched in. Pittsburgh's adjusted well to some of those soft shots dropped in by Syracuse that fell in for points earlier. Point for Syracuse, up by 1 here in the decisive 5th set.
And it might be Shimanova leading Syracuse in total kills, but both middles have been just a huge factor in this. Anytime they're getting set right now, they're pretty much scoring. And so you've got to give props to the middles who are working really hard to make that happen.
Markova and Cassiano leading the charge in the middle for Syracuse. Get Ende involved again, and that usually has worked out well for Pittsburgh.
She is really dialed in on that sharp cross shot as the off blockers pulled in a little bit so that she could get some of the off-speed stuff. And I mean, you can tell that Ende knows exactly what area is open. She's hit it 3 times now.
So Ende, after the kill, comes out, and into serve is Vasquez Gomez. Redshirt freshman making her Pittsburgh debut for 2020, the fall season. Shimanova has it blocked back, still in play. And it turns out to be a point for Syracuse.
Just a tip off of the block. The Syracuse outside, Shimanova found the hand of Levers and gets the kill off of the block, but she took a big swing earlier in that rally and her teammates covered her. So that's what kept the ball in play and allowed them to eventually score that point.
20 kills for Shimanova, who now serves for Syracuse. Colo set back. Fockey tried to drop it in. That caught the line. It's a point for Syracuse. They're up by 2.
And I'm not sure why Fockey keeps trying to tip right over the block. The defense that we're seeing from Syracuse puts a defender right behind the block. So she's not going to score there, and thus she just gets a lucky, misplay by Syracuse. And of course that time she got it blocked back on her side. But if she's gonna have to tip, she's gonna have to try to go somewhere else.
Panthers out there to kind of mop up some of the moisture on the court. Jordan Lockwood back on the floor for Pittsburgh. Shimanova serving again. Quick return and a good play there at the net. And a point for Pittsburgh.
And that's the first we're seeing of Kayla Levers choosing to go over on 2. Pass was maybe a tiny bit tight, but she's way high up there. It's a 6-foot setter, so she can score. I mean, we've seen that from the Syracuse setter. So Levers getting in on the offensive action for Pitt.
Zoe Fockey serves for the Panthers. Lund dug out by Hogan. Good play by the freshman. That one goes wide. It's a point for the Panthers, tying it up at 6.
Some outstanding defense on the side of the Syracuse Orange. You mentioned Lauren Hogan, the freshman from Ohio. Man, she is making some really good defensive plays. Just an offensive miscue on that rally.
Fockey. Hogan had it. Blocked back, and a point for Pittsburgh, and they're in front here in the 5th.
Well, the blocking has been the tale of whoever's got the momentum, and right now that's Pitt. You understand why we would see Carcassi trying to set the middle, because the middles have been so effective for Syracuse, but the Pitt block was right there ready for it.
3 straight points for the Panthers to go up by 1 here in the 5th.
And a foot fault on the serve.
First one we've had called here today. So a service error for Fockey. That stops the run and ties it at 7.
And that's an unforced error that coaches just don't want to see. You know, that it's the one skill in volleyball that you control start to finish is your serve. So just an unfortunate mental error there.
Berkeley Hayes, and we've seen their younger players grow up quickly here today, and that's a point for Syracuse.
And you mentioned the younger players, but Sada is the oldest player probably in the gym right now. As a 24-year-old, she's definitely very experienced, went to the military right out of high school as they do in Israel. So, you know, definitely, you know, the young players doing great things, but gosh, the experience of Sada to make great plays like that, we've seen a lot of that tonight.
Well, the experience and also the toughness. You mentioned the military experience, the military duty in Israel after high school. mentally and physically tough player, according to her head coach. As we take a look at preseason coaches poll, the top 10, Pittsburgh picked to win. Syracuse picked to finish 6th. But this is a Syracuse team, as we mentioned, with Shimanova, Yastrub, Cassiano's emergence so far in her first match of her sophomore year. You've talked quite a bit about Markova, Karakazi, Sada, Hogan, the freshman, has played some good minutes, has really played well today for Leonard Yellen.
And you look
Syracuse
at that
team, they play like this, they're going to be, this is going to be a great year for ACC volleyball if they're the 6th team to finish 6th.
Yeah, and the pod that these two teams are in, they were all listed on that graphic. So it was a top 10 graphic, but you know, this pod is the toughest pod in the ACC.
Serving run continues for Hayes. And a point for Pittsburgh. The run comes to an end. 10-8. Remember, playing to 15 here in this 5th set.
And Kayla Lund getting a swing in between the blockers. Cassiano didn't close all the way, so there's a little bit of space between her and her pin blocker, Karkasi.
Point for Syracuse. 4 points away from taking the match.
And Karkasi again tried to show like she was going to go up and attack it. So it holds the middle just a little bit. So the block for Pitt is, you know, just a little bit unstable. Really nice job by Sada getting that kill off the block.
Karakazi serves. Lund, another good dig by Hogan. Stark sends it over. Dug out by Faki. Lund. Deflected, and a point for Syracuse.
And how about the defensive effort on the side of Syracuse? Some big swings taken by Kayla Lund in that rally. And you see freshman Lauren Hogan just making play after play. And then, of course, the veteran, Ella Sada, comes away with the kill.
Timeout called by Pittsburgh as Syracuse leads by 4, 3 points away from taking the match. So again, if you're just joining us, the ACC playing an 8-game conference schedule, a fall schedule. The hope for everyone is that there'll be spring volleyball. Hasn't been determined yet. We do know that the NCAA intends to play a 48-team tournament starting in April. So if things stay okay health-wise and teams can continue to play, there would be a spring schedule. But again, it hasn't been decided yet. Let's get through the fall first. And if it happens, there'll be a 2021 portion beginning in January, and you can see the tournament selection date. But it starts here in September for these teams in the ACC playing this 8-team schedule, and then hopefully there'll be a split season where we'll have a spring season as well.
And that's important to note. These matches are going to be considered when the selection committee is making their decisions. A smaller field for the NCAA tournament in the spring, so all of these matches really do matter.
12-8 in the 5th. Block back, and a key point here for Pittsburgh. Lund was there at the net.
Another good defensive play by Lauren Hogan, the libero for Syracuse, but the block for Pitt, just sealing the net, pressing over, making sure that Yastrub can't get around them.
Sabrina Stark's there as well, as Levers is ready to serve. Dug out, sent back by Lund. And a point for Syracuse, a net violation.
Yeah, I mean, a great swing, repeat set after an attacking error. So a big, strong swing by Yastrub, but the ball was dug tight. And so Kayla Lund was trying to argue that, you know, that Yastrub was in the net as well, but it was clearly Lund's hand all the way on the other side of the net.
13-9 as Sada will serve for Syracuse. Match point for the Orange. Match point number 2 for Syracuse. Hogan's got it. Lund, blocked back, and Syracuse has done it.
How about the fitting end to this match?